Hello and welcome. It's Susan, Soul Mastery and Treasure Chest Tuesday, the treasure chest of you. This is your time to bring forth that treasure chest in greater ways than ever before. And I'm here to support you by connecting you with your guidance collective in deeper ways, bringing forth a soul's perspective and the wisdom that we can move forward with to help us to know how to navigate life. So, welcome again to 2021. We're only 12 days in. Ho, ho, ho. And the so-called heat and roller coaster and cosmic waves that were predicted are with us. There's no doubt about that. So how we handle that is the most important piece, isn't it? So it's a time for abundant creative expression to come forward. And you could say, yes, but there's all these things going on in the outer that are keeping that from happening. Really, really. It's also a time for change, and freedom. How does all of that go together? And how do we see that in the light of what's been going on, particularly in this last week in the United States that started last Wednesday, I believe it was, as it related to some people storming the U.S. Capitol. Okay, so what the guides, myself, my wisdom, how all put together, your guidance, the collective guidance, all put together, wants us to know that this is a time of change. Remember, we asked for change. We asked for it, right? Okay, so if we asked for change, we have to be okay with the transformational process that brings change. And change does not just mean we get to slide into the new earth. I've said this a few times. So, in this last year, 2020, sovereignty and power, which is the same thing, sovereign power, this is who I am, this is what matters to me, my connection is all there is, and love always guides me. That is sovereignty, and light is my torch. Sovereignty, okay? So the shadow of sovereignty, yes, is authoritarian rule. Somebody else telling us what to do, right? Okay, now we take that, because there's been a lot of people going, wait, no, this is how I see it. This is how I see it. And it's great for us to go, oh yes, everybody sees things differently, and that's okay. I have understanding for that. Now, we move into this year after the solstice where freedom and change are up. And everybody's idea about freedom starts to get wound into the equation. And everybody's idea about what change will look like gets caught into the situation as well. So you have a basket of a whole lot of ideas about how to create change and how to create freedom, right? So how do we traverse this knowing that the power comes in our capacity to be in the eye of the storm for transformation? Because the transformation has to happen. It's not okay the way this world is. We know that is not pure connection, the way the world operates. So, how we react to this transformational process is key. Do you find yourself going into fear, fight or flight, anger, sadness, whatever it is? So let's look at this, these events last week. A group of people, and yes, it was all incited by a man named Donald Trump, who seems to have a lot of authority in their eyes, because guess what? If you don't feel free, right? If you don't feel free, you feel confined, you feel unfree, whatever that means. You feel limited, maybe that's a better word. You feel limited. You feel helpless. You feel like I'm not free to give expression to who I am. If that's been going on for generations after generations for you, then somebody comes along and says, I can make it work for you. Religion has done that for years. The idea of God has done that for centuries, etc. Leaders have done this. I can make you feel great. I will free you up. Okay? And then someone says, hey, this is the way to express freedom and change against what has been in operation. And so then somebody says, I think I need to push that button. Okay, great. Somebody says, I'll lead you out of that and you can be free to express what you want to against the so-called status quo. And in this case, somebody was elected and they objected to that. I want my freedom. I want to say who I want to do, and I'm going to go up against what's been said, right? That's freedom. I have freedom of expression, supposedly. Okay. You don't have freedom of expression if it takes somebody else to galvanize you, who also feels powerless. You feel powerless. You get together as a group of powerless people going, I want my freedom. And then you have to go up against what you call the limitation, which is pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So when we start to see it, we can go, oh my gosh, that is absurd. But we see the truth of what's going on. They want freedom. We have to be the ones that say, wow, I need to declare what true freedom is. It doesn't matter if I have a mask on, doesn't matter if I have a hat on, I'm free. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a sweatshirt, or it doesn't matter if I'm wearing a fancy dress. I'm free. I forgot to bring my props. I was going to have some props today, but oh well, okay? I am free to be all that I am. Nothing outside of me can keep me from being free on the inside. Now, you may not like the way certain people are doing things. Does that keep you from being free? Nope. I am free to be me, regardless of what I need to do to be smart in the world and operate in a collective the way it is at this moment in time, knowing we're in a transformational process. And I am the creator of my life, and I am in command of how free I feel from the inside out, correct? So when these events went down, it's important for each of us to look at, was I terrified? Did I feel like I was in major danger? Did I feel angry? Did I feel sad? Or all of the above? Those are your triggers, my triggers. That's all I can do is look at that, be with that, help that part of me to come back into light and be embraced in love, knowing, not just intellectually, but feeling viscerally, light always wins. And the transformation process does have a lot of challenges to it for the people who are outside of light. And guess what? They will shoot themselves in their own feet. They will burn up from the inside out, all that sort of stuff. Those are just analogies. They're not going to burn with fire. Nobody's going to light them on fire. But you can be sure that in the amount of light that is being brought forward, because we hold light and don't stay in fear going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And these guys have more control and more power than we're holding. The whole world is holding light. And there's a few people objecting to that. You see? So if we put it into perspective, and yeah, there's some pockets of people who aren't doing it everywhere, but that's not your focus. Your focus is to make sure the power of creation of light is honored through you and through all that you touch. But you have to help those little parts of you that are coming from old patterns of danger, Will Robertson. I don't think most of you know who I'm talking about, but have old patterns of being afraid of people with guns, with people this and that. And yes, of course it's dangerous. And yes, it made no sense that there were people who were supposed to be there to keep this from happening that weren't there. Well, all that had been planned out. So, it's all part of this craziness. Can we look at what is coming forward and being transformed from this soup of craziness? And that's what I put my attention on. Some would call me a crazy optimist, but I don't think that's it. Okay, it's much deeper than that. I listen to the wisdom of spirit. That very morning, 2 people had been elected to the Senate. And it was certain feeling before that was going to happen. And there was objection to that, because that means, in essence, that there is more freedom of light to come in through political structures than there has been ever before. You could say, it's just politics. What are you talking about? It's just Democrats being elected. It's bigger than that. We know that. Okay? It's bigger than that. So there was a sense of more light being voted for, so to speak. People waking up to the truth and waking up to the illusion and the disillusion. And there's still a few people all living in disillusionment and the illusion of power. We're holding more creative power now. So that happened. And many things happened in those days and in the days after in the political structure where more people stood up and said, that's not okay. I can't stand for that stuff. Enough is enough. That's what was brought forth. How great is that? That's what we want. That is part of the awakening process that we say we want to see. More people standing in their sovereign power, in their truth, and in the sense of freedom and not being bound to someone outside themselves, bound to someone outside and saying, this is how I feel, and this is what I know in my heart and soul is true. Now, is everyone going to charge forward as light from this moment forward? No, but there are openings, and that's what we have to keep our eye on the ball of. The openings that do reveal themselves in these moments of transformation. And if you're saying to yourself, well, that's not working for me, what is working for you? What do you want to put creative expression into that will work for you? Don't stand at the level of, oh my gosh, this is not working for me. This is crazy. More is going to happen. Shelter, go back, pull. No, this is not the time to pull back. This is a time, it's not to fight. It's a time to get the power of creative expression going. That's what I'm doing right now. I didn't come on today and say, oh, peace is so great. Forget about all the anger and the power issues and all of that. I gave you wisdom and something to move forward in your life with, and a wiser perspective that we can look at and you can learn to look at from the universe's standpoint. This is all beautiful working out. And yes, it hurts that it has to hurt people. It's not okay. So we have to be stronger in our conviction to light prevailing so that grace and ease can come into this transformational process, but not to be flattened by the fact that the transformational process is doing huge turns, and sometimes with huge turns, it doesn't unlock. It's like a jar of pickles. You can't quite get unlocked on the first time. You got to work at it a little bit. So we're going to have to create more magic, more light, more a sense of it's okay for me to be in my sovereign power and stand up for what I stand up for. Not against, but stand for what I stand for. And that is light and the glory of love. And when you do, guess what? The whole universe, all the supreme beings of light and love stand with you. And you will be able to hold that core inside yourself that says, all is well. This is a guided process. It doesn't look pretty all the time, but it is guided. And we can be on the side of light. So, would love to hear back from you, your thoughts and your input. Maybe you've heard some things this week that I haven't heard. And I am open to greater discussion about how to revel in what is coming forth at this time instead of reveling in or being scared of what is not working or what is falling apart and will burn itself in the fire of true power. Okay, so much love to you. Blessings. All is well. And there is so much more light coming out of this than there is destruction. So, blessings of love always.